K-943, we thank you for your service. May you rest in peace.
We gather here today to give a final farewell to a fellow officer, our brother, Craig E. Lehner.
God has gained one of our best soldiers as an angel in his army.
O'er the land of the free.
May God bless you. K-943, rest in peace.
Thousands helped the family and friends of Officer Craig Lehner and his family in blue to bid him a final farewell. This was a difficult and emotional day, one filled with so many touching moments as Officer Craig Evan Lehner was laid to rest. Good evening to you. I'm Jackie Walker.
And I'm Dave Graber. Officer Lehner was lost tragically in a dive training exercise 12 days ago. One of his best friends, as you just heard, told the crowd of thousands who gathered at KeyBank Center that God had gained a new soldier and an angel in his army. We have team coverage for you this evening as we look back at the life of Officer Craig Lehner and lasting impact that he leaves behind.
But first, we take you inside Officer Lehner's funeral that we brought you here live on News 4. Thousands of people filled the KeyBank Center this morning for the service. Law enforcement agencies from across the state and across the border paid their respects one last time. City leaders were also in attendance, including Buffalo Mayor Byron Brown. There was an overwhelming show of love and support in the room for Officer Lehner and his life of service.
Craig served his country and his city, knowing of the dangers that existed in the role of keeping the peace. But he was willing to take the risk for his fellow man.
He was the truest example of the selfless bravery that men and women in uniform are called upon to demonstrate each and every day.
It's estimated more than 5,000 uniformed officers attended today's service. Officer Lehner shared a special bond with his K-9 Shield and his partner, Officer Tommy Champion.
Both honored their friend and brother in blue today. And as News 4's Nalina Shapiro shows us, those bonds were on full display. Nalina?
There is a Buffalo Police K-9 prayer for officers to read. It spells out the dedication and loyalty of a K-9. They would die for their partners and expect nothing but love in return. Officer Craig Lehner loved Shield, and today their unbreakable bond was on full display. K-9 Shield was always there, in life and in death. A loyal partner, best friend, and dedicated member of the Buffalo Police K-9 unit. Shield can't tell us what he's feeling, but his actions speak louder than any words. Shield was part of today's procession, following the casket that was carrying his partner, decorated veteran and decorated Buffalo Police K-9 officer and diver Craig Lehner. Shield showed respect during the service, while Tommy Champion, Officer Lehner's partner of 9 years with the Buffalo Police, eloquently shared memories about his best friend.
Good morning. I can't lie to you, this is a tough one.
Officer Champion admired Craig's courage and ability to connect with the community.
I was surprised and almost vexed at how good and how capable he was and how well he treated people.
Officer Lehner was selfless, and his sense of humor was contagious. Officer Champion says they became almost inseparable the moment Craig went up to his patrol car window.
He looked in the window and said, "Hey, bro, you want to ride together?" In that typical Craig way. And little did I know that that would be the beginning of a bond and a journey together that would transcend this life itself.
They tracked down dangerous suspects together, but could always balance the stress of their jobs by having a lot of fun.
We would be on our way to a call in a patrol car, and whenever Craig would see someone in the car next to us rocking out, singing their music, completely lost in their own world, he'd look over at them and start dancing to the same song, prompting me to do the same. The drivers always burst out laughing hysterically or started cheering him on with their hands up as we drove off to our 911 call. That was the humor, beauty, and brilliance of my partner. What a unique soul.
Buffalo Police Officer Tommy Champion and K-9 Shield were there for their hero, friend, and loyal partner, and know he will be watching over them until they meet again. Officer Champion said, you know what will keep a smile on his face? Knowing that with every passing day, he is that much closer to reuniting with his friend and his partner. Dave?
Helena, thank you. From the KeyBank Center downtown, thousands made their way to Forest Lawn Cemetery, where Officer Lehner will be laid to rest. That was an emotional goodbye for friends, family, and colleagues of Officer Lehner.
News 4's Jen Shantz continues our team coverage. She's live at the cemetery after speaking with those who attended the service there. Jen?
Good evening to you, Dave and Jackie. Yeah, wind and rain were no match for the thousands of people who wanted to say one final farewell to Officer Craig Evan Lehner. Now, several hundred military and police personnel in uniform showed up at Forest Lawn here today, as well as several community members and the Lehner family for the solemn police and military style funeral. Now, I mentioned this service, the burial itself, was a military and police style service, complete with a 21-gun salute, the playing of taps, and the ceremonial folding of the flag that laid on top of Officer Lehner's casket. Lehner's extensive military background was discussed, as was his many service awards he earned during his time with the Army National Guard. Shield, of course, was present as well. Right now, the K-9 officer is working with several different handlers. Police say sometime in the next week they'll begin to see who he works best with and begin the process of finding him a new placement. We learned today that when Shield eventually passes away, he will be cremated and reunited here at Forest Lawn with his best friend and partner, Officer Craig Lehner. Buffalo police say the massive crowd was evidence enough of what an impact this officer had on his city.
It's been a very trying week and a half, and with the support of the community, we were able to get through it, and it really means a lot to the officers to see the support that they received. Early estimations that over 8,000 people participated today in the funeral, as well as a procession for Officer Lehner, and it was a fitting tribute for a true hero.
And that true hero was someone with a big personality. We learned that during the funeral today at the KeyBank Center from close friends and family members. And then we also saw evidence of that during the final commitment today here at Forest Lawn Cemetery with the release of doves. That's something that you don't always see at a military or police style funeral, but the pastor indicated that is symbolic of Officer Lehner's everlasting spirit and hope for the loved ones that he leaves behind. Now, I asked staff here at Forest Lawn this morning, how many people can you accommodate here? And they kind of giggled and said, you know, we don't know, but they were so determined to make sure they could accommodate any and everyone who wanted to pay their respects, not only to Officer Lehner, but to the Lehner family and the Buffalo Police Department. They said they were willing to bend over backwards, to move heaven and earth to make this work, and they were able to. I spoke to Buffalo Police. They said both the funeral itself and this procession went off without a hitch today. We'll have much more on the impact that Officer Lehner had on his community coming up tonight on News 4 at 5:30. But for now, live from Forest Lawn Cemetery, Jen Shantz, News 4 at 5. Dave and Jackie.
The flag at Buffalo Police Headquarters has been flying at half-staff since Officer Lehner's body was recovered. And today, all state government buildings also lowered their flags by order of the governor. Now, this evening, to commemorate the life of Officer Lehner, the Peace Bridge and Niagara Falls will be illuminated blue. Well, straight ahead on News 4 at 5, from Buffalo to across the border, officers paid tribute to Officer Craig Lehner. Hear their stories of why coming together in this difficult time means so much.
And coming up at 5:30, a life of service. We look back at the accomplishments of Officer Lehner before he became a Buffalo police officer.